Hello, my name is Matthew Perez, and this is my Week 3 multimedia discussion titled Successful Mediator Characteristics. In this presentation, I'll be discussing successful mediator characteristics found in the textbook. I then am going to discuss Henry Landberg's article about mediation. Then I'll be discussing Christopher Honeyman's article related to mediation, and then I'm going to apply a public sector example. So let's get started. The textbook briefly discusses Henry Landberger's 5 successful characteristics of mediators in labor disputes. And those are: the person has to have an appropriate sense of humor, the person has to have the ability to act unobtrusively in conflict, the mediator should be able to have the ability to create the perception of being with disputing parties and being concerned about their well-being. The mediator should have persistence and patience. And the final one is the mediator should have specific knowledge about the subject area in which they are mediating. The list of characteristics the textbook provides gives the reader a basic understanding of the research that has already been completed on studying successful mediators.
To gain a better understanding of the research Landsberger completed about successful characteristics mediators have during labor disputes, I decided to read the actual article the textbook references. Reading the article provided helpful insight that expanded the information listed in the textbook. Some of the information I thought was helpful is that Landsberger developed 10 desirable traits for a mediator just by asking current mediators to describe the behavior of good mediators. Landsberger then wanted to see if mediators could be distinguished from these 10 traits. By doing this, Landsberger noticed mediators who rate high on one scale also rate high on other scales as well. He believed that this was a result of something he called the halo effect, which means one of the scales the mediator was highly regarded for, and it affected the person being interviewed to believe the mediator should be scored high on all other scales as well. I liked how Landsberger commented that no single psychological quality or test can determine one's success in mediation. This comment was interesting to me since all the studying he was doing was trying to figure out what they had in common, and at the end his results was determined that each person's mediator style is different. And I also liked how Landsberger asked the readers to repeat his study and try it for themselves, and especially since the study he did was in 1956. Since Landsberger's research was completed in 1956, I wanted to see if there were other articles that cited Landsberger's study on mediation. I found an article from 1988 written by Christopher Honeyman titled 5 Elements of Mediation. This article tries to find a way to be more consistent and effective in selecting and training mediators. What's interesting about Honeyman's article is he decides to observe mediators, and he notices 5 types of activity he lists as investigation, demonstrations of empathy, invention, persuasion, and distraction. The list reminded me of the Landsberger's list since they both study mediators and both noticed similar characteristics. For example, Landsberger noticed successful mediators can create a perception of being concerned about the person's well-being, which is similar to Honeyman's element of empathy, in which the mediator is willing to hear and discuss matters even if they weren't relevant to the dispute. Honeyman also believed that differences in style can be accounted for by the differences in relative skill and knowledge among the 5 elements. Honeyman discussed Landsberger's idea of mediation and determined the results from his study supports Landsberger's idea of the halo effect. But Honeyman's research made him believe that no one can be considered even a journeyman mediator if any of the 5 skills is lacking, even though they may be perceived as exceptional. So it was interesting to find this article that was written 30 years after Landsberger's, and it still supports Landsberger's study, but with just additional elements to it. So now let's move on to an example. So as public administrators, there may come a time where you are asked to attend a mediation session. For example, public administrators may experience problems with an employee who is part of a union, and having a mediator from the labor union attend the meeting can help negotiate and resolve the dispute. Mediators who demonstrate a wide range of skills, such as the ones that Landberger and Honeyman developed, will have more success in effectively reaching an agreement that will help end the conflict. But it should be noted that these skills take time to learn and develop and can only be developed with practice. In summary, I discussed Landberger's mediator characteristics found in the textbook. I then took a deeper dive on the characteristics identified information from Landberger's actual article. I then identified an article that cited Landberger's article as a way to further understand if Landberger's research is still relevant. And I applied the mediation process to a public sector example. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you all have a great week. And here's my list of references.